Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. Hopefully everybody's having a great holiday week, and I wanted to do a quick video today to go over some of the Theros Beyond Death previews that occurred over the last couple days. There's not a lot of them, so let's just get right into it. First one is a reprint that you're probably pretty familiar with, Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So this is a great popper card. This is a good Pioneer card too, seeing play there. And now it's going to see play in Standard again, I have no doubt. This is going to be great in Black Devotion builds. There's cards out there that are going to work very well in that type of build. Cauldron Familiar, Murderous Rider, Massacre Girl. There's even a card that's a reprint that was leaked but hasn't officially been previewed yet, so if you're trying to avoid leaks, you might want to skip ahead a few seconds. But we also know Underworld Dreams is coming back too, which is pretty cool. This did get the bump up to Uncommon. It's got brand new art, but it is going to do the same old things it used to do in Standard, I have no doubt. Next is an uncommon enchantment saga. It's the Binding of the Titans. It's going to cost you a green and one. Each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. 2, exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. For each creature card exiled this way, you gain 1 life. 3, return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so this is cheap, but it's also kind of slow. The only reason I can think right now to play this in Standard, granted we have a lot of cards to see still, would be if the escape deck is pretty good. Maybe if that's the case, this could see Standard play, but it would also be a little bit awkward in a mirror matchup, so that might hold it back a little bit, or maybe make it a sideboard card. So here's what I'm thinking. You play this for 2, you get to mill 3, but your opponent does too. If they're playing an escape deck, they have a chance to use those cards on the next turn to cast an escape spell. Maybe they hit an escape spell. Now, when it gets back to your turn, if they can't capitalize, then you can take 2 of those cards away and exile them, but they still got 1 card, if nothing else, from this. Granted, you got 3, and hopefully that's good enough to outrun them. When you get to 3, that's a pretty good ability, considering you only paid 2, but it might be a little counterintuitive for an escape deck, though. I should mention, too, though, the whole time this is on the battlefield, it is an enchantment on the battlefield, and that could matter as well. Ultimately, you might see a little Standard play, depending on the deck, depending on the meta, but most likely, this will just be a good limited card. Sure, you might still get burned if your opponent happens to hit a good escape spell or gets enough cards in their graveyard to play a good escape spell, but in that environment, I think you'll have a better opportunity to capitalize off this card. Next, we have a mythic Klothys, God of Destiny. This costs a green, a red, and 1. It's a legendary enchantment creature, god, 4/5, indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, this isn't a creature. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. If it is a land card, add red or green. Otherwise, you gain 2 life, and it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Okay, so there's a lot happening here for 3 mana. Let's take it all in. First off, being able to play this on turn 3, you got yourself an enchantment on the battlefield at that point, which could matter. Secondly, if you can go ahead and exile a land out of a graveyard, you might be able to ramp a little bit. How do you do that? Maybe you play some Fabled Passages in your deck. Maybe even some Evolving Wilds. Maybe your opponent's playing Fabled Passage. It is a very prominent card right now. So this will punish them for doing that. Or maybe you get one of your own lands in the graveyard, and there you go, you can ramp. Maybe not as consistent as other ramp cards on turn 3, but considering all the other stuff this does, you're definitely going to be interested in playing this in Standard and probably even Pioneer. So here's the other things to consider with the card. First off, it is potentially a 4/5 indestructible creature. Now granted, you do have to get the devotion to Gruul up to get there, but just another added bonus to this card on top of everything else. Another bonus, if you can't target a land, or maybe you don't want to target a land, you can do a 4-point life swing instead. One thing to remember too, this is good against escape cards. It does start to eat into your opponent's graveyard, but this is not a May ability, so if you have some escape cards, you do want to consider that. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target card from a graveyard. You have to do that. It's going to be fantastic if you're lucky enough to open this in draft or sealed. Mythic should be good there. This one definitely doesn't disappoint. In addition to the formats I mentioned, I think this could be a good commander card too. You get it out early, it can keep graveyards under control. Ramping may be an option. And then beyond that, the ability at the end actually hits each opponent, so that's kind of nice for multiplayer games too, and could be very relevant at times. Alright, that wraps up our look at the previews from the last few days. We're going to come back on Friday and do our market watch as we always do. Then a little bit later in the week, we will come back and do more previews. I'm not expecting a lot of previews over the next few days, so we'll probably do another video like this one. But until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.